Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the monthly employment data release media call. My name is Emily Hetherington, and I serve as Deputy Director of Communications and External Affairs for FloridaCommerce. Joining me is Jimmy Heckman, Bureau Chief for Workforce Statistics and Research. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will be taking questions from credentials. To ask a question, please submit it through the Teams chat feature, since we will not be able to accept questions through a private chat. We will address as many questions as possible, but if your question is not covered, please email media@commerce.fl.gov and our team will work to get you an answer. Today's presentation is focused on employment data for July 2024. If you have questions regarding other Florida Commerce topics, also use the media@commerce.fl.gov email to connect with our communications and external affairs teams. I will now turn it over to Jimmy.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. At 10 o'clock this morning, the Florida Department of Commerce released July 2024 labor statistics for the state of Florida, as well as its sub-state areas, including all metropolitan areas, counties, and large cities. Those data were produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal-state cooperative agreement with FloridaCommerce. These data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling techniques. Florida's unemployment rate, labor force, and labor force participation rate are published under the Local Area Unemployment Statistics Program, using information from the current population survey. These statistics are based on a survey of households, and they capture information about individuals as opposed to, and they are calculated by place of residence as opposed to place of work. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in July 2024 was 3.3%, unchanged from the previous month and up 0.4 of a percentage point from July of last year. The national unemployment rate was 4.3%, up 0.2 of a percentage point from the previous month. Florida's unemployment rate is 1.0 percentage point lower than the national rate and has now remained lower for 45 consecutive months since November of 2020. Monroe County had the state's lowest unemployment rate at 2.4%, followed by Miami-Dade County at 3.1% and Gulf County at 3.3%. In July 2024, Hendry County had the highest unemployment rate at 6.6%, followed by Citrus County at 5.9% and Sumter County at 5.7%. The unemployment rate of 3.3% in July represented 366,000 jobless individuals out of a labor force of 11,056,000. Total employment, or the number of people with jobs, it decreased by 16,000, or 0.1% from the prior month, while unemployment increased by 5,000, or 1.4%. Florida's labor force of 11,056,000, which is composed of all currently employed workers, as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work, decreased by 12,000, or 0.1 of a percentage point from the prior month. This is the fourth consecutive month of declines in the statewide labor force. This trend has been driven by an increase in retirements in workers over the age of 55, while labor force participation in prime age workers, which are workers aged 25 to 54, remains higher than it was in 2019. Here we see the over-the-year percent change in labor force shown in Florida, shown in blue, compared to the United States, shown in green. As of July 2024, Florida's labor force has grown by 0.3% over the year. This was slower than the national labor force growth rate of 0.8% over the same time period. This is the first time that Florida's labor force year-over-year growth rate has been slower than the national rate since November of 2020. Job creation data for Florida is derived from the Current Employment Statistics, or CES survey, which is conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs as opposed to individuals, and they capture characteristics of employers such as industry and place of work. Total non-agricultural employment in Florida rose to 9,998,800 jobs in July of 2024, up 21,800 jobs, or 0.2% from the prior month. This figure is up 229,500 jobs from 1 year ago, which is an over-the-year increase of 2.4%. Florida's private sector employment was 8,834,100 jobs in July of 2024, up 19,800 jobs, or 0.2% from the prior month. Total private employment was up 201,500 jobs from July of 2023, an over-the-year increase of 2.3%. 8 out of the 10 major industry supersectors in Florida gained jobs over the month. Leisure and hospitality gained the most jobs, increasing by 11,200 or 0.9%, followed by construction, increasing by 6,300 jobs or 1.0%, and professional and business services, adding 4,700 jobs or 0.3%. Education and health services lost the most jobs over the month, declining by 4,300 jobs or 0.3%, followed by financial activities, declining by 1,200 jobs or 0.2%. And here we see the over-the-year change in employment by industry supersector between July 2023 and July 2024, in Florida shown in blue compared to the United States shown in green. The fastest growing Florida industries over the past year were construction at 5.8%, followed by other services at 4.4%, and trade, transportation, and utilities at 2.8%. 8 major sectors outpaced national trends over the last 12 months. The top 3 sectors where Florida outperformed national growth the most were other services, construction, and trade, transportation, and utilities. This map shows the seasonally adjusted over-the-month job growth by local metro area in July of 2024. 16 of the 24 metro areas in Florida had over-the-month job gains. The Homosassa Springs metro area grew at a rate of 0.6% in July of 2024, the fastest job growth among all Florida metro areas, followed by the Jacksonville and Naples and Immokalee-Marco Island areas at 0.5% each, and the Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Lakeland, Winter Haven, and Punta Gorda metro areas at 0.4% each. The metro areas that added the most jobs in July were the Jacksonville metro area, adding 4,200 jobs, the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater metro area, adding 4,000 jobs, and the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area, adding 3,400 jobs. The areas that lost the most jobs were the Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton metro area, losing 1,800 jobs, the Miami, Miami Beach, Kendall metro area, losing 1,700 jobs, and the Tallahassee and West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Delray Beach metro areas, losing 300 jobs each. And here we see the most recent job openings and labor turnover survey data for Florida. And please note that this information reflects data from June 2024, which is the latest data available. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that the number of job openings shown here in blue decreased to 486,000 in June of 2024, an over-the-month decrease of 12,000 or 2.4%, and down 20.7% from 1 year ago. There were 214,000 quits shown here in gray in June of 2024, an over-the-month increase of 8,000 or 3.9%, and down 29.6% from 1 year ago. There were 361,000 hires shown here in green in June of 2024, an over-the-month decrease of 11,000 or 3.0%, and down 7.7% from 1 year ago. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the FloridaCommerce rate release for July 2024. This concludes the presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions from credentialed media.
I just want to remind everyone, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. From Tom Hudson, what are the factors contributing to the year-over-year increase in the state workforce while those employed has decreased over the same period?
Hi, Tom, and thanks for that question. And that's a really good question because we are seeing some of these indicators move in different directions, which is important to try to understand. I'll address the second part of your question first. So the number of employed individuals statewide has decreased over the past couple of months. That is driven mostly by retirements. We're seeing, when we're looking at the folks that are not in the labor force, retirements are making up more and more of that share of the population. We're not really seeing any other noticeable changes and any other reasons that people might, not participate in the labor force. So we really think that that decline in employment is due to, Florida has an aging population. We're seeing a lot of folks age out of that 25 to 54-year-old prime age working group and into the 55 plus group, and people age into that retirement age bracket. And so that's really what we think is driving that change in the number of employed individuals or employed people around the state. And when we compare that to the job numbers, the number of jobs that employers are saying are on payrolls across the state, that number has continued to steadily increase. We had more than 20,000 jobs added this month, which is a really robust job growth number. And what we think is happening there's some differences in the way those numbers are captured and the concepts that go into each of those numbers. That labor force employment number is a count of the number of unique individuals that have jobs, whereas the job growth number, that plus 20,000 or more, is a capture of the number of jobs that are on payrolls. And so some of that is the difference there is either kind of like gig workers or contract workers are not included in some of that job number. So we might be seeing a shift from some of that kind of non-traditional employment back to employment at employers that, kind of keep people on payroll. So that's probably one of the main differences that we're seeing there. And that's something that we'll continue to look at going forward if that trend continues.
Again, thank you so much for joining us today for the July 2024 rate release. If you have any additional questions, please email media@commerce.fl.gov. We look forward to having you for our next rate release for August 2024 on September 20th, 2024. Thank you and have a good weekend.